Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the FIA Nations race at Fuji in the N class cars. So this race, the majority of the field chose to go the Porsche, as you can see, and we've got an abundance of the livery that TRL Lightning created for ourselves there for the Porsche. OP livery, as you can tell, starting from P1 on the grid, clearly the best livery out of everyone on the grid. So in this race, we actually did an okay qualifying. I don't think it was particularly amazing, but it was reasonable enough to put me into, I think it was P6 or something in this first race. Let's have a little look now. Yeah, in P6, as you can see, I think about 6 or 7 cars had the same livery on in this race. Thank you to TRL Lightning for creating that livery. So starting from P6, this was our first of the 2 races that we're going to show you today. This was an opportunity to get a score that could pretty much get reasonable points. I didn't expect a massive amount of points from this race. 300 points, 290 to 300 points, and I probably would have been reasonably happy because I didn't think I'd have much pace here. The first race we did okay. It was a bit of a warm-up. First race jumping on, warmed up a bit and did an okay finish. I think we finished like P8 or P9, something like that. But now we're starting this race P6. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can make some progress and get ourselves some reasonable points, and then we won't have to go again. That was my belief. However, obviously that is not the case, as this is the first of 2 races. So going into turn 1, going for a move there up the inside was Snake. Didn't actually see that coming until the contact was there, but a bit of a late dive, but it was all okay. No harm done. We carry on, and now we're going through the really fast section. This section is where it was very tricky in the Porsche, the understeer, and then you have a little bit of oversteer when you get on the power. You can see working that steering wheel, having to really play with the oversteer and then trying to get it to tuck into the apex. Really difficult car to drive, but once you started to get used to this car, it was actually reasonably enjoyable to drive. I found this Porsche, it was quite nice actually, and this track it actually suited it. The only thing that kind of ruined this combination again, as per usual with Gran Turismo recently, is the bit of a daft slipstream. This race was actually running the weak slipstream, which is actually stronger than the real, so it's even more powerful. So what you get is a situation where the lead driver, who is the fastest normally, or the driver that's got the best lapping with slipstream, tends to be faster, so they pull along the drivers all the way behind, and then you just have a train situation. However, the only thing with this car is sometimes mistakes can happen. It's a pretty easy car to make mistakes, as you see. P5 there. We're going to go up for the move on the inside. A move that I like doing quite a lot in this race. We give a bit of space. There's a little bit of contact there, but I think that's fair. Once you've got the inside line and you've pretty much made the move. I kind of think it's up to the driver on the right hand side just to lift off and just tuck in behind, but he tried to carry on. It was a little bit aggressive, but I still say most people would do that to me, so we're going to be aggressive. The only way you're going to make places up in this race is by being aggressive in overtaking zones, because otherwise you just end up sitting behind everyone in a slipstream and the race is just boring to watch. So bit of entertainment. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can push up and make progress in this race as we start lap 2. Now behind TRL Adam. So TRL Adam, one of the faster drivers in road cars on Gran Turismo Sport in my opinion. Followed him all the way up to lap 5. You can see we now skip to lap 5 and we're still behind him, managing to stay with the pace. We've still got the train behind us. You can see there's 2 separations on the track map though. There's 2 groups of drivers where there's obviously been a gap, and you can see what happens once a gap is made. Everyone who's managing to stay in the slipstream for the front, and look at the size of that gap. That shows you how strong the slipstream is, because once it's gone, you get the real pace of the other drivers. I didn't probably have the pace that I was showing here. I had reasonable pace, but it wasn't mega pace, I would say. I think I was good enough for a top 5, but I don't think I had the pace of the leaders in these races, as we now go through the long right-hander again, as TRL Adam is going to go for a move on Vasca. A little bit of contact, but like I say, these moves in these races, you have to be a little bit aggressive. You can't just sit back and hang back, otherwise nothing will happen in these races. As he gets that move done up into P3, and we've now got Fatal Vasca in front of us, and yeah, we have had a few issues with Fatal, but I still think he's a good driver. I think that he's a very fast driver. I think it's just a little bit of racecraft sometimes. I think everyone can learn on racecraft. I don't think you can ever stop learning on racecraft. But now we skip ahead to lap 7, and I could sense there was a move possible on Fatal. He looked a bit uncomfortable in some of the last sections, so trying to nail this corner, going into this right hand corner, he kind of drifted through it, hitting that curb lovely there, got that spot on, ran a little bit wide, had to correct that a little bit, but Fato goes a little bit deep into this corner. You can see he's having to correct himself, he's gone a little bit, he's missed the apex slightly. I take a nice tight line, and then I thought, right, we're going to tuck up the inside here and go for that move. He doesn't cover it off, and that gives me the perfect opportunity up the inside. We hit the apex perfectly, he tries to hold the outside, a little bit of contact, but again, he doesn't back off, he just tries to hang around the outside. Now, some people will argue you should give him space, but as seen in real life, as we see behind Snake actually going for a mega dive, a little bit, he was aggressive again, he got the move done, also nearly collected me in the process, but no harm done, we carry on. But like I say, in real life, we've seen it in F1 at Red Bull Ring, Charles pushing out and getting pushed out by Max Verstappen on the exit of turn 3, I think it was, and nothing done by the stewards. It's deemed as fair racing now, and I think it kind of, if you've got the inside to a corner and there's runoff area like there is on that corner, and fair enough, you can push, you can kind of run people a bit wider. It's all a bit different when you go to tracks with walls on the side, for example Montreal with Vettel and Hamilton. That's the difference. Once you've got a wall on the outside, the rules have to change because there's no runoff area. My opinion, I think it was fair moves, as Snake having a little look up the inside now towards me. Not going to go for that. I think he got a little bit optimistic there, thinking he could go for a dive. That would have probably cost us a slipstream, and I think he actually realised that. Probably just trying to put me off a bit, but now we just got to work on getting back into the slipstream of P3. We're in a good position here in P4 in this race. Quite high rated lobby, I think this was. A lot of fast drivers in road cars behind us and in front of us, so doing very well so far. Just got to hang on in there and see if we can make a little bit of progress on the last few laps. See if we can get ourselves into the top 3. That would be amazing as we come up to lap 9 now. Behind SDL Sonic, another very fast driver. Going to see if we can make a move. Can we do the same move that we've done on 2 other drivers in this race? Everyone seems to be falling for that move. As Sonic goes for a move to TRL Adam here, and this gives me the perfect opportunity because he's compromised on exit speed. I fake the right hand side. He goes defend. He doesn't even worry about the inside line. I'm up on the inside. We go again for the exact same move. We've got the apex tightly. He carries on turning, and again, he doesn't back out. Instead of just lifting a bit and tucking in behind. A little bit of contact, but the move was done fair, and as behind there, a little bit of contact from Sonic to Snake, but again, a little bit of argy-bargy. But again, these type of races, I think you have to be a bit like that, a bit like touring car in real life. They're not really overly fast, so you've got to get the moves done aggressively, or you're just going to be sat in a train all day. We're now up to P3 in this race, so going very well, and looking like a really solid race. Just a couple of laps left, just praying that we do not bottle it in this race. However, we start the final lap. In P3, we can see Adam and TX3 driver in P12. It is an absolute washout of the podium with the amazing pink livery designed by Lightning. As you can see, clearly an overpowered livery. You need this in your life if you haven't got it yet. Get it downloaded from TRL Lightning, and you will be 5, maybe half a second faster, I'd say, a lap as we go through the really fast left-hand corner, following behind the pink train of Porsches here, trying to make sure that we stay in. Now, I was in 2 minds. Do I go aggressive? Do I think P3 is good enough? I was kind of thinking P3 is good enough, but if an opportunity comes on that final corner, I might be able to get a sneaky P2, because he's clearly looking at making a move on TRL Adam, and this is the perfect opportunity. So I thought, let's kind of go a little bit aggressive through here and see if I can make a move. So going down the hill into this tight right hand corner, you're going to see I quite aggressively throw the car in, and watch what happens as we throw the car in. We get the rear rotating perfectly, but we hit that curb too hard, and it bounces off it really awkwardly and causes me understeer. Now we've got the dirty tyres, and this is so hard now. Once you've got dirty tyres in this game, it's all about just trying to stop the wheels from spinning. You can see the car is so slow on the power. We're going to have to try and defend the inside, even though we've got no grip. Snake is going to go for that move up the inside. I'm trying to defend from both drivers. We're going to run a little bit wide. Snake gives me that little nudge wide. Like I say, that is a fair move. That's pretty similar to what we've done. I think it's fair. A little bit of contact in that braking, that move there. He had the right to go for that. I was off foot, and now Sonic is on the outside and gives me a little nudge wide, trying to push me out of the slipstream from RC Snake. Again, I think it's all fair in these classes of cars. A little bit of argy-bargy. It's all okay, and no harm really done, as he's clearly trying to get in the slipstream from Snake. So we've been pushed down to P5 from a possible P3 or P2 if I would have actually got that corner right. So unfortunately, was a little bit disappointed. However, Mr. Casual, with the insane donation of £100 live on stream, clearly made me feel a little bit better in that race. Thank you again, Mr. Casual, you absolute legend. So we're back onto race 2, and this time starting from P8. Not really qualified quite as well in this one. However, after seeing what Calster did in this livery created by Lightning in the first race, Calster went from P9 to P1 with an incredible drive. There is always hope. People make mistakes in these cars. They're not the easiest to drive. They rotate on the rear. You have to look after the rear tyres at the end of the race. So the aim here, look after the rear tyres, push, and let's see if we can get something out of it. You never know, as straight away SVADR gets a really unlucky start of the race. This is something they do need to get sorted, in my opinion, is the gear shifting at the start of the races. Everyone should be going the equal speed and shift at the exact same speed, really. You shouldn't have an advantage like that. Side-by-side starts will be a thing as well. I think it should be, where everyone just starts the same. You shouldn't have an advantage with gear shifts, because I've just gained the position through no skill, just pure luck. So unfortunately for SVDR there, I get myself up a position as we go to the replay camera and have a little look at the snake of train of cars coming down here, like a snake of cars. It looks amazing as per usual on Gran Turismo. What I really do like watching these replays when they're on these dusk settings, either early in the morning or late at night, etc. It looks stunning, I have to say that, and it really does excite me for PlayStation 5. I personally don't think they need to go too in depth in the graphics on the next game. I think they need to concentrate on more features and physics like day to night cycle, weather, etc., more dynamic features, etc. But in visually, they just need to tidy it up a little bit, make it a little bit better. They don't need to go over the top. However, this is polyphonic, we know what they're like. They're probably going to go to insane levels as per usual. So now we're in P7. Can we make any more progress in this race? Not as many people driving the pink livery, but you can see them on track. You can see clearly overpowered again at the start. I think you got one in P3, myself there. There's one further back. I think there might have been one right at the back. So the livery is doing well again there, with Will in P4. I think also, was there another driver further up? No, I think the P1 driver has, you can clearly see, he's managed to break the slipstream already, and you can see why. We've just got a lot of battling going on in front of us, cars side by side, and that is the perfect situation if you're in the lead of a race, that the cars behind fight like this, because you can just drive clean, get your lap times in, do them low 2 minute laps, maybe a late 1 minute 59, while the others are fighting, squabbling. And when you fight in these cars, you will lose time, because the key to these cars is driving smooth and keeping the momentum going with the revs, etc. Once you're going side by side, you're not taking the ideal lines and you lose a lot of time. But down this straight, you can see, are they going to go 3 wide into this corner? It looks like P6 is just going to back out. The Spider's not going to go for that. I think he thought about it and thought better of that. So clever driving there by Spider. Didn't want to risk anything. Probably just thinking about the slipstream, as we're all now in this very tightly knit group. You can see I don't think there's a gap in the slipstream at all. If you look on the top right, you've only got P1 who has broke away from the field, and then everyone else is literally in the slipstream train and in a long line of cars as we go through this really long right hand corner, trying to keep the car gripping to the track without oversteering. You can oversteer if you're too aggressive, but then you get understeer on the exit. It is a really difficult section of track in this Porsche. Throwing it into the left hand corner, trying to get on the pound nice and early. You can see SVDR behind, got really good traction off of that corner, and is actually getting a little bit of a better exit. However, again, the weak slipstream takes over and destroys any opportunity of an overtake there. So again, I really hope they think about this slipstream and make some changes. It doesn't need to be 1.5 seconds back that you pick up the draft. It should only be a maximum of 1 second, I think, maybe 7 tenths, and it needs to be weaker. It shouldn't be as strong as what they put it on in these races. Skill should be the factor of who wins these races, not who just gets in the slipstream. And I think that would probably hurt myself a lot in these type of cars, because these are not my strongest cars in general. So it would probably harm me. However, I would rather be finishing where I should and having good racing with people that I should, with proper overtakes, rather than just sitting in a slipstream and basically robbing of other people's pace. However, I do think in this combination the pace wasn't quite as bad as it would normally be in road cars, purely because it's Fuji. I do like the track. It's one of my stronger tracks when I get in a rhythm at the track. Sometimes it doesn't go right, sometimes it does. In this race so far, it's going okay. Now you can see the lap time's not particularly amazing there. A 2 minute 0.7 on the first lap, without obviously starting from the rolling start. So okay pace, but that was with a slipstream. You should really be going a little bit faster. As Spider there completely wipes out Fatal. Now that was not deliberate. If we go back and watch, you can see he actually tries to avoid everyone in front of him. Just a general mistake that everyone can make. You see in the braking zone, he's braked too late. He realises his mistake. He's even going to try and cut the whole corner off to avoid people, but unfortunately for Fatal, he was right in the path, and Fatal gets sideswiped there and pushed off the track. So really unfortunate for Fatal, but it wasn't deliberate, as we now jump back on board with myself, who has gained a position through a little bit of luck, but we're now up to P5 as Will having a little bit of battle with someone else there, a little bit of contact going through this corner. You can see again the pinball physics there. PCM lifts a little bit, Will hits him, pinballs into each other, and we all just knock off each other because of the contact physics being slightly iffy on GT, as we gain another position through Will knocking off, well, not knocking off, just tapping the SDL driver on the corner there. So we're now up to P4. So this race has actually gone from looking like an average race to actually looking like we've got a chance of a solid result here. We're now in P4, and the two pink liveries doing the business as usual in these races. Unfortunately, it's not going to take the win. As you can see, P1 has just gone. There is not much chance of catching him up when you're battling like this, as we have a little bit of battling going on behind us there. It looks like they're going to lose time. We need to try and find a way past P2 if anything. Let's hope that we can get a move done and maybe break away as well. That was the aim of this race. If you can break away from the slipstream and not get involved with the fighting, you can actually gain quite a lot of time. If everyone just drives it really smooth, you just all sit in a line of cars without being able to do any sort of overtaking. So going down the straight, you can see P2 obviously very vulnerable now because he has not got any slipstream to work off. So Will is going to have a massive slipstream advantage down the straight, and he's going to gain all the way to the braking zone. Will he go for a move? Let's take a look. Going into the braking zone, will he go for that dive, or will he just back out of it? I'm not sure. Let's see. He's always right. P2 is defending with everything there all the way to the white line, but Will looks like he's now into P2. Now it's a case of who will break the latest. I'm just sitting back here letting them battle and thinking, let's just get our line normal through here and try and get a really good exit. So we power out the corner, trying to get side by side with Will to see if we can just make him compromise on the entry. He turns in a little bit, not realizing I'm there. No harm done, and he just tucks back in front of us. So nearly made that move around the outside. It could have worked if we'd have got the slipstream, but unfortunately didn't quite work, and still in P4 in this race. But you can see Will clearly wanting to get past P2. Very aggressive driving through here. He's really hugging a tight line there. Now that will take a lot of wear out of your tyres. That is the only thing with being quite aggressive through that corner. You have to be a little bit cautious of your front and rear tyres. As a bit of a dive there by Will, launches it up the inside. Contact, but I think it was fair, reasonably fair, because he had made the move on the inside. There was a slight bit of contact on the exit, so moved on. He's up to P2, and I take advantage of the yellow car that was nudged a little bit there, maybe a little bit too aggressive, but I still think these races Polyphony kind of bring these moves on with their settings, as Will runs a little bit wide through the corner, leading to pretty much a freeway battle here for the P2 position. You can see, look at this battle going on. Look how close this racing is, as Will still maintains that P2 position. I managed to tuck up into the podium position, and now we're in P2 and P3 in the livery designed by TRL Lightning there. Having a little look up on the inside here. Can we go for a move into the final corner? Got a really tight line through here. Now it's going to be a drag race down to turn 1. Who will make it through here? We go over to the right hand side to give space, trying to break some slipstream to some other drivers behind us. You can see now it's just a pure drag race. I try and cut in a little bit just so no car can go up the middle, and we get a little bit of a bump draft from the goldy yellow Porsche behind us. You'll see here he's going to bump draft me instead of Will, probably because I was on the inside, and he knows then he's going to have the inside line to Will. However, I think he possibly might have picked up a penalty for that. I'm not 100% sure, but when we look back in a bit, I think you'll see that he has a penalty. I'm not sure if it was from there or for contact in this area. I really don't know. Hard to really be able to tell when we were running the penalty system that we did have. Unfortunately, the new penalty system is completely broken as well. Just doesn't give any penalties out. It's retired. So going through into this left-hand corner, had to be very cautious. You can see he had the inside line, had to give that up. However, you can see instantly a 2-second penalty. My guess is that was possibly for the bump draft or some contact in a corner somewhere. It's really hard to be able to tell with the penalty system as it is at the moment. I didn't actually see it happen. So down into P3 myself. However, we're going to be promoted into P2 now. I was thinking straight away here was he's going to have to take that penalty. We're going to get a slipstream on half of the straight because the penalty zone is a little bit further up. If we can work together, myself and Will, we might be able to get ourselves away from anyone else and give ourselves a cushion to be able to just fight for the podium, secure a podium position. Now that would have been amazing in this race because it was a hard race, very aggressive, very difficult to get that qualifying lap in with the slipstream. So if you can get a podium out of this race, going to be happy, clearly. So going through here now, just seeing if we can make that move again. But again, not really worth doing a dive at this stage because I want to get the slipstream down the main straight. You can see there's a bit of a gap developing between cars behind. It looks like they're just dropping off a little bit. It's becoming less bunched up, a little bit more spaced out, and that is kind of good for us because if we can just push and work together without battling, we might be able to get ourselves in a very good position. As you're going to see now, we're going to work together, not much battling going on. Going to go over to the left hand side of the track, and this is what made me realise I think that Will, you can see he's going over to the left hand side of the track. In other words, he's saying let's work together, let's not battle together. And this is good advice for people. If you want to secure a good position in the race, you can see it now on the replay camera. You can see myself and Will there. We've got an advantage. We've broke the slipstream. There's no point fighting too much. You can see he's just staying behind us. He's not going to fight the apex here. What he's going to do is we're going to work together. It's very hard for me at this stage with this type of car to try and find good pace, but I'm going to push 100% now and see if we can break the slipstream completely to P4, and then we can battle on the final few laps in this race. So if you look behind, you'll see Will's not going to go for any daft moves. He's going to play this quite safe. You can see that Adam, I think in P4 there, is outside the slipstream. So once you're outside the slipstream and if they're battling behind, it's going to be hard because you need to have teamwork to really be able to pull away from other drivers when you're in this situation. So going through here, driving quite aggressively. You can see a lot the way the car's rotating. I'm being a lot more aggressive on the entry and exit speeds. I'm really trying to push to make sure that we can secure a good result in this race. Now, top 3 for me at this combination would have been, I was very happy with because not particularly expecting much out of this race with these kind of cars. Going through to this right hand corner, this is a very tricky corner. You saw it catch us out on that first race. This time now on this lap, doing it pretty much perfect there. You see Will, he's not, this is what I like when you've got a driver who's willing to do this and knows the consequences of battling. If we battle in this situation, we drop back into that group of other cars. If we just drive this sensibly now for a few laps, we pull away from them cars and then we can battle at the end of the race. So very clever driving from Will, and I'm completely up for this type of racing because this is tactical, this is clever racing. You don't need to be battling at this stage. If you want to secure a good result in a race, this is clever driving. As you can see, again, Will is not going to even worry about battling me. He's just going to sit behind. Now, I was a little bit nervous about what he might do here because of the penalty system. However, it seems to be okay if it's not too hard, the bumps that the driver gives you behind. So a little bit of bump drafting going on there, just tapping the rear of the bumper, and that just gives us a slight advantage in speed down to it. You can see we've gone for a blue lap, one of our personal best races. You can see our lap times have been pretty solid considering we've had no slipstream, doing low 2 minutes, nearly breaking into the 1 minute 59. So that really shows you that the pace has been there as we now finish in lap 10, and I think this lap actually creeps into the 1 minute 59s with no slipstream, just a tiny little draft and bump from Will behind us. So very good lap there considering no slipstream in that. But Will is now going to go for that move. We're on the final lap, so now it is time to battle. He's been being patient and now he's going to go for that move on the inside. I'm going to try and hold it around the outside. We're going to go side by side, putting that pile down. Great racing going on here. You can see it in that bottom left hand corner just how close this is. Side by side, I think the little lifting and gear shifting was helping. You can see I just get a little bit of extra speed whenever I go into the shifting, so we did work that out in the practice and we managed to hold on to the inside line there, nearly running wide there, and that is so close you can pick up a penalty for that. So some really fun racing going on and a really good end to this race, enjoyable as Will. Now he clearly wants that lead in this race. He's been patient, he's worked together, but now it's time to battle to see who can take home the P2 spot as we take a tight line through there, trying to make sure that we get on the pound nice and early. He can't go around the outside there, it's so difficult to even go for him. You can't, once you go wide on that corner around the left here, you lose a lot of time in terms of your on the delta going down to this next corner, so you have to hold a very tight and narrow line through there. But now into the braking zone, not really in a position to go for a move. Gonna have to try and make sure I nail this corner, getting right onto the curb on the throttle nice and early. This time we do not make the mistake. I'm gonna have to go defensive though in case he throws one up the inside. He's gonna try and go wide and then tuck up on the inside and get a better exit out of that corner. You can see I'm fully aware of the move that a lot of people do into this corner. I think Will, I've seen Will do it, I think, on a previous lap. So Will was, I knew that Will would go possibly for that move, but can't get it done with with myself holding that very tight line. And again, I'm going to plant the car in the middle of the track. Now the advantage of this is we still get a reasonable exit. Now it's going to be a pure drag race all the way down to the finish line. We'll go to that really good exit line. I'm going to go over to the right hand side of the track and let him go down the left hand side. And now it is just a drag battle. Hopefully will this shifting advantage that I was lifting off, you can see it on every gear shift, I was just lifting off the throttle and then straight back on the throttle just to give a little bit of an advantage as we go to the finishing line, and we managed to get P2. So a brilliant race with Will, thoroughly enjoyable. I hope you enjoyed that race as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it really does show you the advantage of risking stuff, because in that first race we did have 290 points and I decided to risk it and go for this race and just see if we could get more. And it's something I think I need to do more, as you can see there, picking up 331 points. So that shows you why sometimes you need to risk stuff, and I think that's what I need to be more aggressive on in future races, is risking the points a bit more. I think we need to make sure there's a minimum points that we take from pretty much any round, even if it's a weak round. You just got to keep risking stuff. Risk it for a biscuit and get them extra points. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you hit that like button, show your appreciation. I really do appreciate everyone that hits the like button, so thank you very much for that. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscription link on screen at the moment, and make sure you hit that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching, everyone.